A fullback is a defensive position that occupies the wider areas of the defense. The main job is to provide defensive functions and help in building attacks from the wider channels. The position was first originated in a 2-3-5 formation, where the two defenders closest to the goalkeeper were termed as fullbacks. Their role was to provide a defensive cover to the halfbacks ahead of them. Since they were the closest defenders to the goalkeeper, they were recognized often as a number 2 or a number 3, especially in England, but in modern times, the number varies based on countries. However, after the system shifted to a 4-4-2, they generally occupied the wider defensive areas of the back four. Their role was to provide a defensive cover for the wingers, who often pushed up high to build up the attack. This created a defensive solidarity for the team. In case their front line loses the ball, there won't be any effect of counterattacks, thus giving the fullbacks a key role to play. But as football evolved, fullbacks became more offensive. With the introduction of the 4-3-3 formation, the midfield and the forward line became more narrower, allowing the fullbacks to move up the pitch for crosses and providing attacking chances. This became more concrete as teams preferred to build up the attack from the wider channels more frequently. Modern-day players such as pairing of Andrew Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool and Joshua Kimmich and Alphonso Davies of Bayern are good examples of today's offensive fullbacks. While a fullback operates from the wider side of the pitch, an inverted fullback is the one that tends to shift centrally while giving both attacking and defensive support to the side. They tend to shift from the natural wider position and come centrally, just ahead of the two centre-backs, thus forming a three-man defensive line with a defensive midfielder. This, if utilized wisely, gives many advantages. With the inverted fullbacks, the central midfielders can move forward freely without any worries of defending. They can push forward and can utilize as a number 8 or a number 10, or can able to tuck into the free spaces inside the zone 14. Another advantage it gives is a numerical superiority in the center of the pitch. With the central midfielder pushed up, this leads to defensive midfielder, the lone player in the midfield, which could be vulnerable in case an opposition counter breaks. However, with the inverted fullbacks in position, this counters the break, giving them solidarity in midfield while performing their natural defensive duties. And lastly, the inverted fullbacks can make the opponent front line out of position on occasion. In case the opponent tries to drag back the fullbacks, this creates a gap between the player and its respective wider players, which can then be useful to utilize, as this creates space on either channels of the wider channels where the fullbacks can look to give a long pass to counter the play. But the position is tricky and needs to be wisely functioned. Players need positional intelligence and a good reading of the game to fleetly operate the role, and a small calamity can be vulnerable and can leave gaps centrally. The role could be best fit for teams who like to keep possession and are tactically sustained. Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich is one of the best examples of that, where he used Philipp Lahm in that role, and he carried forward the sting to Manchester City, where he used the likes of Kyle Walker and Benjamin Mendy in that role and was highly successful enough. As said earlier, an inverted fullback is a tricky role, but a useful one, and if utilized correctly, could be devastating enough.
To share your views on how you liked the video, support us by dropping a like and subscribing to the channel.